In 1795, a teenager named Daniel McGinnis found an oval-shaped recession in the ground on Oak Island, an island off of the coast of Nova Scotia. He and a couple of friends started digging in the area. As they dug, they found wooden planks every 10 feet. The discovery of the planks led them to believe that the pit was man-made and probably hid treasure inside. This began a long-standing tradition of digging at the Oak Island money pit. Centuries would pass and bounty seekers would come from far and wide to dig at the site. Errol Flynn, John Wayne, and even Franklin Roosevelt were at one point each involved with trying to gain access to the alleged treasure. The person responsible for the construction of the hole did not make it easy to find whatever's down there. The deeper you dig, the more pitfalls you find, including cleverly laid layers of tunnel collapses and water traps. Although no treasure has ever been discovered from this pit, the site has produced just enough evidence to keep people digging, like antique leather shoes and man-made wooden structures. To this day, no one has been able to uncover the treasure because the pit keeps collapsing. Companies from all over the world have been trying to figure out the contents of the dig site for hundreds of years. Unfortunately, it has taken the lives of many men due to sinkholes, drownings, and falls. The ancient South American tribe known as the Muisca are indigenous to the Colombian Eastern Range. To celebrate their abundant life, they would throw gold and gems into Lake Guatavita as a sacrifice to the gods. In the late 1500s, conquistadors Lázaro Fonte and Hernán Pérez de Quesada would try to recover the treasure located at the bottom of the lake. With the aid of hundreds of laborers carrying buckets, they tried to drain the lake. After 3 months of work and running out of resources, they managed to sink the lake about 3 meters. They retrieved some gold that was worth about $100,000. However, this was a small amount compared to what was believed to still lie at the bottom. 35 years later, an entrepreneur named Antonio de Sepulveda used a machine to drain the lake about 20 meters. Although he ended up finding about $400,000 worth of gold, the lake draining construction collapsed and killed most of his workers. Then in 1898, London contractors drained the lake so deep that it left only about 4 feet of water. The lake was now only mud and slime, and was practically impossible to traverse. Over a small amount of time, the sun baked the mud like cement, sealing off the treasure that lay beneath. They were only able to recover about $700. Forrest Fenn is an 85-year-old former military pilot and successful art dealer. His life has been that of abundance and wealth. In 1988, he was diagnosed with cancer and was told he had only months left to live. He came up with the idea during this illness to create a bronze chest full of treasure for anyone to find. Inside the chest, he claims that there are gold nuggets, rare coins, jewelry, and gemstones, along with a jar holding his autobiography. The contents of the chest have a value of about $1 to $3 million. He fully intended for the treasure to become his legacy after death. Fortunately for him, he survived the cancer, but still decided to bury the treasure somewhere up in the Rocky Mountains, just north of Santa Fe, New Mexico. In 2010, he published a memoir entitled The Thrill of the Chase. In the book is a poem that contains clues that lead to the location of the hidden treasure. He also has given other hints in blog postings and interviews. He gets about 100 emails a day asking for clues to the treasure's whereabouts. He's also received several death threats and had to call the police on 3 separate occasions because of unwanted intruders. Many people have claimed to have found the treasure based on the clues that Finn has provided, but none have come forward with any proof of uncovering the bronze chest. Finn believes that people claim to have found the treasure to deter others from looking for it, but he's just glad that kids have moved off the couch and away from the game rooms and into the mountains, where the sun smells good and the air is fresh. In 1885, a small pamphlet was published titled the Beale Papers. Inside, it contained 3 blocks of numbers that have been determined to be ciphertexts. The code supposedly gave directions to a treasure buried in a secret location in Bedford County, Virginia in the 1820s. According to the story, an American man by the name of Thomas J. Beale came across a treasure consisting of gold, silver, and jewels in a mine located to the north of Santa Fe. The treasure is worth the equivalent of about about $63 million. Beale and 30 of his friends took the treasure to Bedford County, where they buried it in a secure location. Beale then wrote 3 encoded letters, one giving the exact location of the treasure, a second describing the contents of the box, and a third giving the names and contact information of the 30 partners. He placed the ciphers in an iron box and gave them to his friend Robert Morris. Beale instructed his friend to not open the box and that he would return from a journey within 10 years. Thomas Beale was never seen again. After waiting 23 years, Morris opened the box to find the ciphers, and cryptographers from all over the world have been trying to decode the messages ever since. They were only able to decode the cipher that described the contents of the box by comparing the numbers to corresponding letter placements in the Declaration of Independence. Scholars have painstakingly tried to decipher the other 2 coded papers, especially the one that details the location of the hidden treasure. Dutch Schultz was an American gangster in the murderous New York City underworld of the 1920s and 30s. He was a bootlegger and a numbers racketeer. His rivals often ended up with bullets in them. One was even hung by his thumbs on a meat hook. All of his murderous crime sprees caught the attention of federal prosecutor Thomas Dewey. Dewey would feverishly go after Schultz at every chance he got, trying to put him behind bars for good. Fearing a prison sentence during a tax evasion trial, Schultz hid $7 million in stolen money somewhere in the Catskill Mountains. After hiding his treasure, he set up a meeting with other local mobsters in an effort to murder Thomas Dewey. 2 of the mob bosses did not like the idea. They knew it would bring unwanted attention to their racketeering ring and would probably cost them millions of dollars in lost profits. So in October of 1935, mob assassins sprayed gunfire at Schultz inside of a popular restaurant. They killed Schultz and the henchman who buried the treasure. Another one of Schultz's henchmen had the only map to the location of the chest. He was gunned down in a New York City barber shop and had the map stolen. Schultz's hidden stash is still buried somewhere in upstate New York.